Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Welcome to my channel, the Juxtaposition One channel. Do become a paid member and get caught up on all the lexicon of terms and anthropology, social science, and humanities that we cover on this channel as we march toward Agenda 2030, which is coming rapidly. All right, today's video will be entitled Martial Law, comma, Strategic Hamlets, comma, Tokens, and I'll elaborate on that. You know that tokens are social credit. They're also programmable money, meaning that tokens exist for compliant slaves within the Hunger Game, which tonight we're calling Strategic Hamlet. You know, your neighborhood, your smart neighborhood, your smart city, your smart township, your strategic hamlet. Strategic hamlets have a secured perimeter, meaning that no one comes in or out without security clearance. That'll typically be governed by your local fusion center. If any of the vocabulary words that I'm using in today's video are unfamiliar to you, you do need to become a paid member. I mean, these are terms I've been developing and introducing and educating for over 4 years. So, since back at the beginning of 2022, I've been rolling out the lexicon of terms, which are mostly military terms, because that's who's running the show. Our show is sponsored by Swiss Bank Authority, and it is implemented through military codes of conduct, which is obedience and compliance and a code of silence, omerta, and of course, a concept of world mission. And there are other elements of that, but it's all based on an obelisk pyramid of power, chain of command, and it is ruthless and unforgiving. So if you think the mafia is too strict for you, know that the mafia is structured identically to the way that the banks and the military and all of the college of corporations are structured, and all the organized religions are structured. All the churches are structured similarly in an obelisk pyramid of power, right? And that is because they're all part of the military cult, 100% infiltrated, down to the mayor of your city council, your board of supervisors. They themselves may be clueless, but I can assure you that the protocols that are followed in a pseudo democracy, which is run under fascism, to put on a show for the local people so they can come up and give their 90-second presentation and then be excused from the lectern, is it's all been designed in Geneva, Switzerland, and polished over 1,000 years. If you're unfamiliar with my channel, do page backward in time. You know, I have almost 1,600 videos just at Substack alone, and I have over 3,000 videos at many different locations throughout the world, some under different names like Antidote for Poppycock Poison, Antidote for Poppycock Poisons, Juxtaposition One. I'm out there. I'm all over the internet where I am not shadow banned. All right. So just in the last 2 weeks alone, I've posted videos which have, I think, dramatic titles such Human Farm Animals Tethered to the HAL 9000, CRISPR DNA, Real ID Verified, right? The 6 layers of reality within the clown show. Call it a clown show because it's a metaverse. Today they call it the metaverse. Juxtaposition is always referred to our society as a matrix of mendacity, meaning that it's 24/7, bald faced lies, and some lies are less overt than others. But there are many overt, laughing in your face, using professionally trained clowns. That's who runs the talk shows, right? Bill Maher, an unfunny Jewish comedian from New York. Okay, he's a clone of 10,000 other Jews from Brooklyn, like Jack Benny, for example, Danny Kaye. Those are Jews from Brooklyn who were comedians. in the entertainment industry, right? They'll do film, television, radio. Others would be Jerry Lewis. Remember him? He's from New Jersey. Jerry Lewis, not his real name. None of them use their real names. George Burns, another Jewish unfunny comedian from New York. And Sarah Silverman. I mean, the list goes on and on. Joan Rivers. They all get talk shows, and they all tell you about social engineering messaging. But I can assure you that all their jokes are screened and approved. They're not going to just blurt on stage. There's no utterances allowed. And that includes George Carlin, who did say some disrespectful, non-compliant terms on stage, but he was permitted to do that to round up a honeypot operation of domestic terrorists, like this channel is. Rumors of cannibalism don't matter, referring to Ellen DeGeneres. Uh, then we have child molestation operations. Most notably, we have the Jeffrey Epstein operations involving Little St. James Island and the 13 striped, blue and white striped temple, satanic ritual abuse dome, golden dome on the top, and the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, also associated with the Jeffrey Epstein operation, presently now associated with conservative Christians out of Texas, Dallas Fort Worth. One's there's a billionaire out of Dallas Fort Worth area who took over the operations from Jeffrey Epstein. So, in other words, there's still satanic children abuse going on at the Zorro Ranch, renamed Rancho de San Rafael. So, definitely did a name change, but nothing's changed except the name. All right. And then before Jeffrey Epstein and before we had conservative Christians, we had Blue Bay Boys Camp on Flathead Lake in Montana. We had North Fox Island in Lake Michigan, directly north of the city of Chicago in Lake Michigan. We had a airstrip put in by John Ramsey's father, John Ramsey of John Benet Ramsey. Wouldn't you say that John Benet Ramsey, executive vice president of Lockheed, which is a NATO intelligence spy satellite company, don't you think that it's ironic that the executive vice president's 6-year-old child is garroted and displayed in his wine cellar? And don't forget his eldest daughter, Catherine, no, scratch that, Elizabeth, was murdered in Cicero, Illinois, 4 years earlier, 1992. She was 22 years old. And then 4 years later, little John Bonet, age 6, was garroted and murdered at Christmas, on Christmas Day. And then when John Ramsey discovered her in the wine cellar, he carried her up the stairs and placed her in front of the Christmas tree, which is a pyramid, right? It's a triangle pyramid. And she was placed at the base of the pyramid. All right. And that's because he's in the military. He's a United States Navy intelligence officer, John Ramsey. He was doing that for 7 to 9 years before he became a civilian. All right. And not his first rodeo. Not his first rodeo. And there are claims of child abuse going on in California when he was stationed out in Ventura County at Port Hueneme for the United States Navy, along with Fleet White Jr. and also child abuse involving Fleet White Sr. Fleet White Sr., Fleet White Jr., and John Ramsey involved in videotaping sexual abuse of under 18-year-old girls in California. So that was happening, years before his two daughters got murdered. And we talk about NATO Gladio murder music to calm the nerves because this is disturbing. We also had Ronald Reagan's ranch, Cielo de um, Rancho del Cielo is what it's called. And the media refers to it as the Reagan Ranch, but technically it's called Rancho del Cielo. And we had Jane Fonda and Tom Hayden's ranch, which is walking distance from the Ronald Reagan Ranch. It's kind of a long walk. I think it's 2 miles. And that's called the Laurel Springs Ranch. And then about 15 miles away, we have the Michael Jackson Neverland Ranch. So look at all the Jeffrey Epstein operations we had going on before Jeffrey Epstein was involved. Blue Bay, Montana, North Fox Island, Michigan, and with Neverland Ranch in Santa Barbara County, the Ronald Reagan Ranch in Santa Barbara County, the Jane Fonda Laurel Springs Ranch in Santa Barbara County, the Neverland Ranch in Santa Barbara County on Figueroa Mountain Road, right? So don't think that Jeffrey Epstein is the first and last child molester and perhaps other felony crimes. He's not. He's not. There are thousands of Jeffrey Epsteins before him. There are thousands operating presently, and there will be thousands of them operating, I'm assuming, in the future. Then we had the Luxor Pyramid in Las Vegas, paired with Steve Winwood, again celebrating the power of the pyramid. We had Star Chamber investigations of Brutal Truth, which I have periodically now. We have a new member orientation video that everyone should watch who is new to the channel. We have my personal experience working at a big eight CPA firm in San Francisco, which today is part of the big four, but it was the big eight when I worked there. Gone the wrong direction with accounting, I can tell you that much. We have the five pillars of deception, Geneva global governance. That's who runs the show in a Swiss Hunger Game. And the United States of America is a Swiss Hunger Game. As a country, the United States doesn't exist. It's insolvent. It exists at the pleasure of its banker, and its banker would be Zurich and Basel, Switzerland. All right, we have the 1950s view of the problem that we face today. We're under the United Nations Agenda 2030, also known as the Sustainability Program. It's a sustainability agenda where we're going to post-humanism. We're deleting humanities from the curriculum in all our schools and left with technology and science, and mathematics, and this whole concept of engineering. But nowhere in the education of children or young adults anywhere in our universities, which would include Harvard and Stanford and Berkeley, is that the jobs are associated with the technocracy, which they're turning into the state religion, the Swiss state religion, the fascist religion. Is that you don't need to know anything about ethics or religion or speaking French or speaking Mandarin. You don't need to know anything about that because we're going to the AI, we're going to the cloud. Canoe, canoodling in the metaverse. I did a video on that. Techno enslavement was promised, but Real ID CRISPR was delivered, which is a form of techno enslavement. The occult, occultism, part one. The occult and occultism, our enemy, part two. The Praetorian Guard, pacification and control of all the pseudo leaders like the Pope or like Trump or like John Kennedy, for example. John Kennedy had a Praetorian Guards called the Secret Service. They did one hell of a job in Dallas, didn't they? They drove him right to the target and parked the car so that he would have his head blown on. Pacification and control, military. We did a Star Chamber investigation Zoom meeting on that, which was quite brilliant. You should watch Pacification and Control Military, where we covered personal experiences of four women. Know your customer, KYC, right? I've done business with Wells Fargo Bank for 48 years. Do you think they don't know me? 48 years of deposits and withdrawals from Wells Fargo, and they're going to ask me for an eyeball recognition and a palm print, biometrics, because it's all part of their Know Your Customer program. If you don't know me after 48 years of doing business with me, then get lost. All right. Know your customer is a lie. It's a bald-faced lie. Believe me, they know everything about you already if you have an account at a bank. So they're in the money laundering business. They're in the felony crime money laundering business. So what is lacking here is who the hell are the banks, right? I want to know who the banks are. I want to know if my banker is vaccinated for bird flu. Don't you? Not to mention syphilis or gonorrhea. All right. So we had the Currency Act of 1764, which outlawed fiat currency as the official currency and creating and leading to the War of Independence. Had nothing to do with freedom or liberty. It had to do with control over your personal economics. That's the only freedom that matters to people. That's the only reason they'll die is if you take away their ability to transact within amongst themselves through barter and exchange or through their own script currency, then you'll have a war on your hands. Well, we're heading right to that like any minute. Whenever they push the switch on social credit obedience tokens, then you know we are reliving the revolution of 1776, which is about the money system. It's about your right to transact business personally. Your personal economics has to do with your money system choices, plural, and you should have multiple choices. It shouldn't just be one. I mean, I know they're going to create the illusion of choice. They're going to say cryptocurrency or central bank digital currency, and they'll probably come up with a third choice. But those are all the same system. It's a ledger-based system. It's a hyper-ledger-based system, programmable money, meaning that the authority can turn off your money. And any system where your money can be disabled without notice is a system that's worth dying to prevent. All right. And then we have juxtapositions opinion regarding the United Nations Agenda 2030 tokenization of our society, remote viewing, also known as Farsight, and Hugh Everett, who is a production of academics. We have Stargate data centers, proof of personhood. Proof of personhood is a real ID verified biometrics concept. WorldCoin, which is a Donald Trump pimped out cryptocurrency. And then we have biometrics of eyeball recognition, facial recognition, and palm print, fingerprint recognitions. And then my last video was brainstorm, comma, computer to brain interface, and celebrating the life of Natalie Wood, who was murdered by Christopher Walken and Robert Wagner together. They were both there together when she was thrown off the boat, the 55-foot yacht, the Splendor. Nothing splendid about felony murder most foul, right? And then threw her off the boat at around 11:15 at night, and she didn't swim. And it's pitch dark, and they turned the running lights off on the yacht, and it was one of three men that did it, right? Dennis Davern was the skipper, and he was in his cabin, according to his testimony. And Robert Wagner was drinking Scotch whiskey, and Christopher Walken was there, present somewhere. It's not that big of a boat. 55 feet is not a big boat, right? It's not like William Randolph Hearst yachts that are over 100 feet long. This is half the size of a William Randolph Hearst yacht. So anyway, that takes us to today in the here and now, having to do with the reality of martial law. So let me discuss that. All right, it's a conundrum, right? Conundrum. We face a conundrum today. We also face a zombie apocalypse today because 99% of the people are not subscribing to my channel. 99% of the people are not paid members, and the majority of my subscribers are free peanut gallery members. So clearly, there seems to be a lot of hesitation about learning the truth because only the paid members are fully on board with the truth and are willing to pay for an education of dealing with the truth, the brutal truth. Most people are cowards, all right? And if you're not a paid member, then you are in some degree of a coward. I mean, you are. Let's be honest. You are. That hesitation will get you killed. It's going to get you killed, all right? All right, so you're going to be herded off to a Donald Trump Freedom City, and everything is inverted. Look at Noam Chomsky. He is the poster boy of bald face, pathological lying to your face, right? He's a liar. He's a bald faced liar. Don't forget, he's a buddy of Jeffrey Epstein and a buddy of Woody Allen, who married his stepdaughter, and he's a buddy with Alan Dershowitz. Those are three odious people. Noam Chomsky, Alan Dershowitz, and Woody Allen, another unfunny Jewish comedian from New York, right? Like Bill Maher, like John Leibowitz. Oh, I mean John Stewart. You mean John Stewart? Yes, John Stewart's real name is Leibowitz, like Oliver Silverstein. You mean Oliver Stone? Yeah, well, his name is Silverstein. Oliver Stone's father's name was Silverstein. So another Jewish person from New York, Oliver Silverstein. All right. Can you trust an unfunny Jewish man from New York? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You cannot. That means the Oliver Stone movies are to be ignored, dismissed. They are full of bald-faced lies within the fabric of those films. They are not documentaries. They're not even really decent pseudo documentaries. They're just dramatization cover stories. That's what the Oliver Silverstein films are. They delete out material facts and circumstances that are well known, but deleted from the Oliver Silverstein series. We have a conundrum. It's confusing. We have people lying to us 24/7, people like Noam Chomsky. All right. And then we have Agenda 2030, which is overt and to your face. And almost 100% of the population that can read on this planet has not read the sustainability goals programs, which includes climate change, climate action, includes pandemic and global pandemic policies, all of which are secret code for martial law. Martial law, right? That's what I'm talking about. Martial law. Let's review. All right. So again, it wasn't a secret. We did it in Vietnam and we do it everywhere. We did it in Rwanda. We do it all throughout the world, and we're doing it here in the United States. Strategic Hamlet is where you map out all of the concentrations of where people live. And then if you don't like where they live and you can't strategically secure it, then you have a fake tornado or a mudslide or a rainstorm or a Noah's Ark event, a weather event, and then you displace those people through raising their flood insurance or declining it and not building back the houses that were destroyed in the way that hurricanes can do, tornadoes can do, mudslides can do, having your shoreline home erode and fall into the ocean like you can do. Aren't we doing that? Haven't we been doing that? Forest fires, direct energy weapon attacks, weather warfare. It's all part of Terra Swarm. Terra Swarm is part of martial law. It initiates martial law by giving martial law a cover story, right? We have to have FEMA come in because all these people are homeless and they don't have water and food. So we create a FEMA camp, right? And then we relocate the people. This is what Switzerland does. They're in the anthropology business. They move people around. They bring immigrants in and they move residents. We did it with the American Indians and the Blackfoot tribe and the Ohlonies, and we will sure as heck do it to the Judeo-Christian Americans too. They will be redeployed somewhere else from wherever there's a weather warfare event, whether it's Asheville, North Carolina, or the Blue Ridge Parkway, or the Chimney Rock, or whether it's Florida, anywhere in Florida, New Orleans, Houston, Texas, uh, all throughout to the rivers of Illinois, or Northern California, Southern California. They're ripe for weather warfare events. We've already had many and displaced many tens of thousands of people. All right, so we're going to the strategic hamlet concept everywhere. In most neighborhoods now, you have the LED street lights are installed, smart meters are on the houses or on the sidewalks for apartments and or duplexes, and we have ring cameras, relentless ring cameras, where people are stupid enough to pay to spy on themselves as well as their neighbors. Because your ring camera not only spies on others, but it's voice activated, so it'll spy on your family as well. So you're spying on your own family, and God help you if you're installing cameras in your own home. I mean, what's wrong with you? You know, you should spend at least 2 weeks in the county jail so you can learn what is proper etiquette because there's very little to no privacy in the jail. Essentially, turning your home into the county jail. That is not what you would call an intelligent thing from a humanity point of view. But we're getting rid of humanity, right? We're going to STEM. All our education systems are now being reshaped and formed by STEM as all the money from Switzerland is being deployed through numerous straw dogs to go to the AI. We're going to the AI, the artificial intelligence, the AI assistant, which is techno enslavement, total techno enslavement. The AI, everything to do with AI is about assigning a prison guard to you 24/7 to follow you around, to follow you into the toilet, to follow you into the bathtub, coming with your AI assistant. And this is going to be true for compliant and non-compliant people alike. It's called the biodigital convergence. It's what juxtaposition channel refers to as post-humanity. Post-humanity. STEM is the concept of having let me make sure I got this right, is what we call science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That spells the acronym STEM, STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Nowhere in STEM do you hear about the humanities. Nowhere in there do you hear about Shakespeare or French or studying foreign language. Nowhere in there do you hear about social sciences, economics, how people get along, barter and exchange, different mechanisms of trading labor and property amongst each other like the colonials did before the British outlawed it. Um, Ethics, religion, law. I mean, today we're the best template of what I'm talking about is University of California, Berkeley, where you have Jennifer Doudna, a woman who does not see patients, and she created a company in Zug, Switzerland called CRISPR Therapeutics, which is about modifying and changing humans into robots. It's Frankenstein monster stuff. That's what gene editing is. It's a company that works on Cas9 protocols to augment human beings away from the way God intended them to be to an obedient cyborg robot. And Berkeley chancellors appointed her the title of Chancellor of Biomedicine, Chancellor of Biomedicine. And she has no medical degree. She's got engineering degrees and a Harvard PhD. All right. And she's got her own laboratory at Cal Berkeley at 2151 Berkeley Way, one block off of Phoebe Hearst Avenue, and 1.5 blocks from the Ted Kaczynski Unabomber building on the third floor. He sent two bombs there. So the Corey Hall building is 1.5 blocks between the Jennifer Doudna lab is the chancellor's mansion, and then there's a big backyard to the chancellor's mansion, and then you have Corey Hall, the Ted Kaczynski Unabomber building, which is the electrical engineering building for the engineering school at Berkeley. So you have the Chancellor of Biomedicine, which is supposed to be about medicine for human, and she's located basically within the School of Engineering, where they're combining mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics with medicine. So biology and electrical engineering coming together to create this frightening project called the Innovative Genomics Institute, which also was founded by Jennifer Doudna and her second husband, Jamie Kate, who is the director of it. And we have Caribou Biosciences, which is an evil twin created again by Jennifer Doudna, who was the PhD advisor for Rachel Horowitz, who is the CEO of Caribou Biosciences, which uses the Cas9 CRISPR gene editing technology in Berkeley, but at Aquatic Park, so 3.5 miles away from the campus, but it's right off campus. They're doing the same thing as what they're doing on campus, which is gene editing creatures, which include humans. Dinovax Technologies, which makes COVID vaccines. They're a part of this unholy alliance. Stargate Program LLC involving Elon Musk, Sam Altman, and the Japanese contingent man, and Peter Thiel of Palantir. They're involved building data centers. Uh, Elon Musk is involved in boring tunnels and putting up CubeSat satellites, low Earth orbit, STEM education being funded through the various means of Switzerland, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, promoting Neuralink, chipping, putting nanoparticles into people to neuro chip their brains, computer to brain interface, Genentech, Cetus, Chiron, Vartus, Fibrogen, all created there in Emeryville. All created there in Emeryville. Novartis owns all those companies now, which was I included Bayer as well. Anyway, that's where we're going, and that's where all the money, most of the money is going. Most of the money is going to turn humans into robots. It's called Frankenstein post-humanity. CRISPR gene editing is post-humanity. STEM education without devoid of humanities is post-humanity. Operation Warp Speed means it's bottled and it's already in a warehouse. I guess refrigerated warehouse. That's so Donald Trump lied. He lied. There's no such thing as warp speed. You've been watching too many Star Trek episodes, I guess. Um, Look at all the lying that goes on with applied linguistics. Precision medicine and climate change, those are the two big lies currently being foisted upon you. Is point of care medicine, e-medicine, e-pharmacy. Those are all cover stories for net-centric warfare, but they don't want to say that we're involved in cognitive neuroscience, electronic warfare, not to mention photonic and ultrasonic warfare too. It's not just electronics. You do know that light can be weaponized and sound waves can be weaponized too, in millimeter and sub-millimeter waves. In other words, the pulsing of the energy can be light, sound, and magnetic resonance. I hope this is crystal clear to the new members. Cognitive warfare, it's to mind control you, to create a brainstorm, to create the Havana syndrome. You've heard of it before, Havana syndrome, that's what it is. It's radiation poisoning, it's acute toxicity, it's acute radiation poisoning. Acute radiation poisoning. That's what it is. That's not what they call it. They're going to call it neuromodulation, molecular engineering. They're going to call it CRISPR Cas9. They're going to call it precision medicine, point of care medicine, e-medicine, e-pharmacy. Your doctor can treat you, get paid, and never actually see you in person, right? It's like Dr. Frankenstein, but he doesn't actually touch the corpses. We have the ability of plausible deniability now because we have invisible weapons for a quiet war. You notice the media is very quiet. They never talk about the chemtrails or the polluted air, ever, not ever. They don't talk about it at the Super Bowl where the skies above were polluted as could be. They don't pan up the camera to look at it and they don't discuss it because the media is part of the military cult to conceal the truth from the clueless citizens who, by the way, the citizens don't look up at the sky either. They certainly don't in my neighborhood. In my strategic hamlet, nobody looks at the sky because if they did, they'd see airplanes and they would hear the noise and their ears don't work. They have eyes but can't see and ears but cannot hear. They have no window to look through to see the truth. All right, so we have invisible weapons for a quiet war, meaning that the keyboard commandos at your fusion center, which is within 10 miles of your home, they can keyboard in assassinations of non-compliant people within a strategic hamlet. Because believe me, not only have they mapped every single dwelling within the strategic hamlet, because you have a wireless router in your home and you have a smart television and a smart refrigerator and you have LED lights or perhaps cans in your ceiling, and you have a LED street light outside of your home and a smart meter, They can track and trace and target every living creature in your home, your dog, your kitty cat, your children. When people are using the toilet, they are measuring how much energy consumption and water you're using in your home vis-a-vis the wireless router and your smart meter. So they know who you are. And whether you're vaccinated or not, uh, they can trace, track, and track everybody in the home. Now, if you're vaccinated, then you have a uber strong signal in your home. So you're very verified. You're a very verified real ID person. In other words, proof of personhood. If you have a real ID and you're vaccinated, that's the highest level of compliance within the world I'm talking about, which is going to be a tokenized world. I'm not there yet. I'm not at that subject point in the video. But what I wanted to remind you is that everything's inverted and all the vocabulary words are the opposite. So when we talk about Donald Trump, Freedom City, freedom means you'll have no freedom. Okay, it means enslavement, means detention, incarceration. Trump incarceration prison, FEMA detention, incarceration. That's what I mean. I mean federal penitentiary. I mean state prison. I mean county jail. And no, you won't be able to commit suicide. You will not be able to. Jeffrey Epstein couldn't commit suicide, and neither can you. It's impossible. Can you be murdered? Of course. She can be murdered. And because of the deniability that there's not going to necessarily be a kill team that goes into your cell, they can kill you the way they killed Aaron Valente and the way that they killed Marco Troper and the way that they kill Betsy Arakawa. They called it toxic rodent droppings. The way they killed Gene Hackman, heart attack, right? They can kill you, manic episode, Aaron Valente. They can kill you, and the coroner won't understand why you died. Whether you're 5 years old, 55 years old, or whether you're 105 years old, no one's going to understand how you died. Your heart stopped beating. End of story. That's called plausible deniability. But I'm calling it direct energy weapon system, and you can blow up buildings and disable people's brains, suspend their tenets of thinking, disable their critical and cognitive and deductive reasoning skills remotely using keyboard commando or just doing a steady Savannah syndrome pulsing into every home in the world. Okay. And look at this was all revealed by COVID, but it had existed before COVID. But in COVID, we pulled the curtain back and saw it was a brick wall and there's no fire escape door to exit through. But we're stuck. We're in a detention facility. We had this thing called a global pandemic, which can only happen in a fictional science fiction, presentation. Can't happen in real life. It's impossible. It can only happen in the media and on your cell phone, but it cannot happen in real life. And not a single person died of COVID. Not a single person has ever died of COVID anywhere in the world. Now, have they died of radiation poisoning? Sure. Have they died of turbo cancer? Yes. Have they had manic episodes? Yes. Have they had heart attacks? Yes. Have they had clotting? Yes. Yes, of course. Especially when they're vaccinated. But anyway, it happens whether you're vaccinated or not. But certainly, if you have aluminum and plastic parts and graphene in your body, it's a lot easier to kill you remotely than if you don't. Social distance, 6 feet, that's right in your face, right? That's 33. It's the highest level of obedience within the pyramid of power. Why couldn't it be a 7 feet or 5.5 feet? Why did it have to be six? Because six is 33. It's two threes. That's why. And if you don't know your gematria, you better learn it, or you'll never figure out they have all these cipher codes that they laugh at you because they think you're too stupid to understand numerology, not to mention dates, ages, places, and obelisks. The obelisks are all around you too. You should know where every obelisk is in your township because I'll bet you have more than one, like Lay's potato chips. Anyway, we had this concept of shelter in place, lockdown. That's what that is. That's martial law. A lockdown is martial law. That's a curfew. Only go out for essential services. Or if you're a business owner, only essential businesses can be open. Well, who decides? The military decides. It's like, is a strip club an essential service? Is the liquor store essential? Is a pizzeria essential? Are restaurants essential? Who decides what is and is not allowed to be open? That's a hell of an economic decision where you're deciding who lives and who dies, right? Financially. And they did a hell of a job of destroying family owned restaurants. They destroyed the majority of restaurants are family owned. And the things that are left now are the Starbucks and the McDonald's and the In and Out burgers. And it's all these corporate franchises survive. All right. So no one is safe until everyone is safe. Those are the words of a mentally retarded person. Okay. That's ridiculous. Follow the science. What science? You mean the dogma? Science is the debate and discussion of topics as to what is and is not plausible or possible. And that was not allowed during COVID. Everything was dogma, meaning central authority, ministry of truth told you what the science was. That's not scientific. Okay. That's totalitarianism. That's fascism. That's imperialism. That's colonialism. That the authority knows best for you. Safe and effective? Says who? Were there any clinical trials to validate that? No. I'm just telling you, safe and effective because I say the words. I feel like I'm on a used car lot and the salesman hasn't made a commission in 2 weeks. And he says things to me using sophistry like, it's a hell of a car, isn't it? This little baby will go 100 miles an hour. And then when you start talking about the price, he says, well, did you want floor mats with that? Did you want the true coat? And then when you say no, no, then the salesman very smart aleckly refers to you as you didn't want wheels with this car, did you? Did you want a cigarette lighter? Did you want a radio? Or do you just want the engine? That's what we got. That's our society. It's a bunch of smart ass people. That's what your mayor is. That's what your city council is. They're smart asses. They're following Geneva Global Governance climate action. They're concerned about recharging centers for the Tesla cars. Why? I'm not concerned about it at all. As far as I'm concerned, you get all electric cars out of my city. You can't hear them coming from a bicycle point of view. They're dangerous. And then we have lithium bombs in those cars that blow up and kill people. We've had many examples of dead cars and dead people in the cars, and Angela Chow drowning in an irrigation pond because the electric car doors are locked and you can't get out. You can't escape. I fell down and I can't get up. Tesla car, Elon Musk. Notice how Elon Musk doesn't discuss anything to do with the defects of the Tesla car. I think it's deliberate on purpose. They're not actually defects. They're designed to kill you if your time is up, if your expiration date has arrived. Putting nano into everything. It's in our air. Our air is all polluted. Our soil is polluted. Our water is polluted. All our food is polluted. Our crops are polluted. All the farm animals are vaccinated, so they're polluted. They're putting the nano into paint. They're painting the crosswalks with the nanobots. They're painting the curbs with the nanobots. If you buy paint at the hardware store, you'll painting your walls with nanobots, painting your fences with sensors. Nanobots are sensors. They send and receive. They send and receive. They are the internet of everything, as are you. You are a human being. You are a node on the network. You are a node on the network. You're connected up with your fence post and your smart meter and your wireless router in your home. You're in a bubble of trouble. You're in a bubble of trouble in your home. Your home is a prison cell. No one is safe until everyone is safe. No one is safe until we disassemble all the wireless networks to get rid of all the different networks. And there are hundreds of networks. There are different types. There's metropolitan networks, there's university campus networks, there's Cisco system networks, there's Cisco systems routed, there are NVIDIA processing units. All the products made by NVIDIA and Cisco systems and Nokia Bell Labs, and Nokia needs to be taken out and buried in a landfill. Okay. You got to take out all the airplanes, take out all the ports and airports, and turn those over to the civilians because the military controls all our ports and all our airports. They control all our rivers, all our toilet flushing, all our sewage, all our roads, our interstate, our dirt roads, our secondary and tertiary roads are controlled by military, drones, and satellites. And our sheriff's department is fully infiltrated. Our police, our municipal metro police are infiltrated with intelligence officers. And today we have geofencing, the ring cameras, the smart meters, the fusion centers to control our strategic hamlets, which are our neighborhoods, also known as fortified villages, that the perimeters are doubly secured. Okay, it's called a protected hamlet. Have you heard that before? This is for your protection. You can't get into a federal courthouse now unless you go through the metal detectors. It's for your protection. Why? I'm not worried about it. I think the judges should be worried. They're the ones at risk, especially if they're running bordellos out of the jail, which apparently we have Superior Court judges in the United States who are pimps for prostitution and snorting cocaine off their desks in their judges' chambers in America. That's because there's no such thing as America. The judicial system is not here for you. Your sheriff is not here for you. Your city council is not here for you. Look at the hand, look at the hand, look at the hand, right? Talk to the hand and go pound sand. Talk to the hand and go pound sand. That's the policy of your sheriff. That's the policy of all Superior Court judges, all appellate court judges, all circuit court judges, and yes, the Supreme Court of the United States. That was the policy of Earl Warren, whose name is associated with the Warren Commission. He was not here for you. He was not here for you as governor, as district attorney of Alameda County. He was not here for me. He was not here for me when he was Chief Justice of the United States either. He was not here for Jack Kennedy. We have in law enforcement and judicial the exigent circumstances exception of due process. In military martial law, there's no due process. In maritime law, there's no due process. Judges wield like a dagger. They wield like a dagger judicial notice, which means they'll accept perjury, planted evidence, or props as proof that a fact is true. In other words, the judge can deem lie to be truthful and point to perjured testimony or props, as they did in the Manson family trial, as they did in the Menendez trial. They can convict people with false evidence using judicial notice. They did it in the O.J. Simpson trial also. Plain view doctrine. Okay, well, this is when the police do a knock and talk. If police come to your door, knock, and you open the door, they'll peer through the door and they'll see something. If they see something that looks criminal, they'll push your door wide open. That's called a knock and talk. It's also then called a knock and announce. Ma'am, step away from the door. I'm knocking and announcing an exigent circumstance where I don't need a warrant. It's a warrantless search. And before we do the knock and talk and the knock and announce that we're entering your dwelling, we have geofencing, ring cameras, and smart meters. And police have access to that information, which also includes all military intelligence services, including the FBI and CIA. They all have access to the same telemetry data, and they can perform warrantless searches on the basis of geofencing, trace track, and targeting people's cell phones and also their body area network. So even if you don't have a cell phone, did you know that you can still be geofenced without carrying a cell phone if you're vaccinated? And even if you're not vaccinated, you can be traced and tracked using the Raytheon missile guidance systems that are fully deployed now. You can still be traced and tracked. Now, you not necessarily 100% verified, but if you are proof of personhood, if you have a real ID and you have your biometrics, if you've given up your eyeball recognition, facial recognition, palm print recognition, you can be traced and tracked with higher verification status. All right, so these are the words that you need to memorize and understand and wield like a dagger. Protected hamlet is code for secured perimeter. It's code for a fortified village, fortified by the fusion center. Neighborhood watch program. Your neighbors spy on you. Your ring camera neighbors spy on you. Your neighbors who are participating in neighborhood watch, they are in automatic coordination with the Fusion Center, which is operated by your county sheriff, but it's run by NATO. It's essentially a NATO program. NATO is making decisions about your neighborhood, not your city council. Your city council is not in charge of your city. They're in charge of following the Geneva climate action mandates, directives. A directive is a command. A directive is a command. It's an order, and we follow orders or else. Knock and announce, knock and talk, plain view doctrine, exigent circumstances, judicial notice. These are all things that will get you put in handcuffs and taken away anywhere, not just your county jail. You could be put in prison by a military soldier. That's what happens in martial law, that the NATO peacekeepers can act as law enforcement, that there is no due process and you don't need your sheriff. You can just shove your sheriff aside. And we'd say, we're not going to use the county jail. We're going to use a special FEMA detention center we set up. All right. And these people have DUMBs, right? Deep underground military bases underground. You've heard of Cheyenne Mountain. We've discussed on my channel repeatedly Site 300 of Department of Energy on Coral Hollow Road, where I used to race motorcycles directly across the road from Site 300, site of the Altamont Free Rocks concert with Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger singing Sympathy for the Devil. Underneath that stage is Site 300 underground facility with a linear accelerator, coal gasification, and toxic waste disposal capabilities, and other things that we don't know about. The Denver Airport, Denver, Colorado, huge underground facility underneath the Denver Airport. Then you've heard of the Blue Ridge Parkway has an underground facility. O'Hare Airport in Chicago, they have a tunnel system underneath O'Hare Airport. Um, these are dumps, deep underground military bases. You need a security clearance to go in there. You have to be an employee with a clearance to go in there, or you need to be a military attache with the proper security clearance. But it's very important that you understand that we're under an emergency status of COVID. It's never really been declared over. And your city council, your county board of supervisors, your state assembly, your attorney general, your county district attorney's office, your superior courts of your county, your appellate court of your state, your circuit courts in the federal government districts, and our superior court of the United States, they're all functioning under maritime martial law. In other words, they don't have to grant you any due process whatsoever. If you don't believe me, ask William Calley. Oh, I think he's dead now. All right. But you see, our civil court, our criminal court, our family court, and even our traffic courts are highly dysfunctional and are run under a maritime law judge. It's not just about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell or Alan Dershowitz, Noam Chomsky, Woody Allen, Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, all who are in the same club together, all of them. Voting is a joke. You don't vote for candidates. You vote for what your choice is, Coke or Pepsi, aisle or window, smoking or non-smoking. The choices are made for you. And no matter who you vote for, they're totally compromised and rigged. And they're all part of the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile program, whoever they are as persons. You don't get to vote on smart meters or on sub-millimeter waves or 6G and 7G and 8G technology. You didn't get to vote for 5G technology. And we're far beyond 5G technology now. You don't vote for airports and ports. You don't vote for construction of roads. They just do it. They just do it. We're spending trillions of dollars going to the AI. You didn't vote for that. And they're doing it anyway. They're doing it in your schools. They decided the curriculum for your children. You didn't vote for that. They just foisted it upon you. They just foisted electric cars on you. You didn't vote for it. There's no democracy. And no democracy could ever work in real life anyway. The problem we have is you have Geneva global governance, and they don't know anything about your town, and they're making all the decisions about your smart cities, your cognitive cities, your C40 cities. It's all been decided for you. what you're going to eat. You're going to eat bugs. You're going to own nothing and be happy. That's what they say at the World Economic Forum. That's Klaus Schwab. That's Larry Ratfink. That's Steven Schwartzman. That's Jennifer Doudna. That's Jamie Kate. That's Rachel Horowitz. That's Joy Weiss of Smart Dust Networks, today known as Analog Devices. Christopher Pitzer. They're all on board with the human augmentation, neuromodulation, molecular engineering, Cas9, CRISPR, disablement, and post-humanity. That's the agenda. That's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a long one, but I had to get all of these things off my chest. This is the amalgamation of hundreds of videos that I have done over the last 4 years. So if any of this doesn't make sense, you need to go back in my library way back, okay? Over 1,000 videos back. Go way, way, way back machine. You know, you can sort by oldest video. You don't have to just page back. You can start at the back and work forward, right? Is you go most recent, or you can sort by oldest video. Thanks for listening. Do like and share and become a paid member. I am heavily shadow banned. Bye now.